our dear viewers, and welcome to a new edition of our program Africa Today. In today's edition, we are going to talk about the Russian-African ties. While the Russian-African session is taking place as part of the 24th St. Petersburg International Economic Forum, the SPIEF in St. Petersburg, Russia. During the session, the Egyptian side said that the Egyptian-Russian relations that grew over the past years are very important, and that the strategic partnership is reflected in many major projects being implemented. More details.
During the Russia-Africa session that took place as part of the 24th St. Petersburg International Economic Forum, SPIEF, in St. Petersburg, Russia, Rania Al-Mashhad said Egyptian-Russian relations that grew over the past years are very important. She said the strategic partnership is reflected in many major projects being implemented, such as the Dabaa nuclear power plant project that costs $25 billion, and the Russian industrial zone in the Suez Canal economic zone that is expected to bring in investment amounting to $7 billion. The forum is considered a global leading event that tackles economic challenges faced by the world and emerging countries. The SPIEF takes place this year under the theme of a collective reckoning of the new global economic reality. Alongside Al-Mashhad, the panel was attended by the Prime Minister of Central Africa, Prime Minister of Rwanda, Commissioner for Human Resources, Science and Technology at the African Union Commission, Deputy Russian Minister of Foreign Affairs, the General Director of Transmash Holding, Chairman of the Association of Economic Cooperation with the African States at the Russian Academy of Sciences, and Chairman of the Board of Directors of Uralchem. Al-Mashhad mentioned that the Russian-African Summit and Economic Forum highlight Egypt's regional role as the gateway for Russian businesses in the African continent in light of strong Egyptian-African relations. Al-Mashhad tackled the available opportunities that would enhance the Egyptian-Russian-African cooperation.
And to shed more light, we are very much delighted to have with us over the phone Dr. Mostafa Wali, our economic expert. Dr. Wali, good afternoon to you, sir.
Good afternoon.
Dr. Wali, how do you see the significance of holding the Russian-African session as part of the 24th St. Petersburg International Economic Forum?
It comes in the sequence and in the course of the interest of Russia as Russia in the African continent at large, which is actually goes back for a long history before. However, this also a boosting for the momentum which was initiated on 2019 in this very famous summit meeting in Sochi in Russia, where President Sisi at that time was the head of was taking the periodical presidency of the African Union, and also he had very big meeting and very important meeting with President Putin that time.
Yes.
That's a continuation, and if you go through, of course, we are in this early phase concerning this latest meeting or this latest conference.
Yes.
But in general, it shows the interest of Russia in Africa is still there because they know very well and they have their history, as I told you.
Yes.
And luckily enough for them and for us, I mean for both sides, for Africa and for Russia, that we could be and we are the northern gate and the most and the easiest gate and the best gate for Africa at large.
Yes. Sir, how would you actually like to describe the ties between Cairo and Moscow in the last decade?
Sorry, I couldn't hear you well, please. Will you repeat?
The ties between Cairo and Moscow in the last decade, how would you describe it?
You mean the relation and
Yes.
the development? Yeah, it's great. It's great. And you see, at least right now, we have a very, very big project, you know,
Yes.
the latest in the technology of the non-traditional energy, which is nuclear energy, this power plant in Dabaa. And meantime, also this very big industrial zone in the Suez Canal, in the Suez economic zone. That in itself, together, is a real bulk and shows the spread and the importance and the emphasis of such cooperation between Russia and Egypt.
Yes.
Well, it can be extended to Africa in a way, because the last meeting, which was 2019, as I told you, there were a lot of agreements on very specific projects, taking care of the economic problems and economic aspirations of the African countries at large,
Indeed.
And we are working on it, plus also Egyptian interest in Africa. So this can get together, adding to the momentum of cooperation between Egypt and both sides in this case.
Indeed. Dr. Wali, attending the session, Dr. Rania Al-Mashat said that the strategic partnership is reflected in many projects being implemented. How are joint projects between Cairo and Moscow is proceeding in Egypt?
Again, it's the. Would you repeat, please? I'm sorry, because I'm on an open air. But can you repeat
yes,
again,
indeed.
please? Sorry.
Attending the session, Dr. Rania Al-Mashat said that the strategic partnership is reflected in many major projects being implemented. So, how are the joint projects proceeding in Egypt from your point of view, Dr. Wali?
Yeah, well, of course, they are handling or they are tackling very important areas of economy, as we have been just talking.
Yeah.
But also, if we add to it what can be agreed upon during this last session, this session now, then Egypt can have its role, which is already based on its history with African countries. Because there, if you go through the files in the Ministry of Foreign Ministry and a lot of other departments in dealing with Africa, even on NGOs and non-profit organizations like, for example, Federation of Egyptian Industries and such things. The cooperation is there. The only thing is how to boost it. And I think Dr. Mashat, she is very keen about such, and she knows well how things are going, especially she is taking care of now the international cooperation with special emphasis on Africa.
Indeed.
And I am very, very optimistic that by time, especially when we go through this pandemic, when it is over soon, hopefully, that there will be a boost for the economy. I mean, maybe the world economy at large.
Yes.
Specifically, it can get into it can even reach easily to our part of the world. I mean, Africa and Northern Africa. I mean, North Africa. We are part of it.
Yes, indeed. Dr. Wali, the forum is taking place this year under the theme "A Collective Reconing of the New Global Economic Reality." What challenges face the global economy from your point of view, sir?
I was just telling you this. My expectation and a lot of it could be an optimistic vision for the near future. And there are some signs now that the world economy will pick up, and a lot of specialists. Specialists in economy. I mean, on the international level and in the international institution are optimistic. The only thing is that there should be another look for the developing countries, because this is the future, part of the future of raising the standard of its people, and then in this case you will increase the productivity, which will turn again to be for the goodness of Africa and each African country. In itself, it will give back again, some boost for the economy of the first world in Europe and other countries, other continents. That's actually what we should be looking for, and we'll be working for it. I mean, everybody who's taking care was keen about it.
Yes, indeed. Dr. Wali, how would you list the hazards facing the emerging economies from your point of view as well?
You mean the emerging economies of certain countries, emerging countries? Is this what you mean? Of course, this, first of all, the biggest and the toughest situation already which is facing up till this moment, the emerging economies in general, is this pandemic, because it has a real direct effect, and it's reaching everywhere where there is this emerging economy. But soon again, it's the history in the making again. People will get to know where are the shortcomings, where they can get help, where they can be helpful to each other. And of course, the first world has its burden, and we should help in it.
Yes. Sir, Dr. Rania Al-Mashat mentioned that the Russian African Conference and the Economic Forum highlight Egypt's regional role as the gateway for the Russian businesses in the African continent. How would you describe Egypt's role in this regard?
In this regard, it's quite evident, not only for Russia, as Russia or Africa, China is this, Europe is, Europe at large, this, because we are the northern gate with all the facilities which can make what we call the logistics for transferring, for the movement of goods and experience and technology accessible more than any other place, plus also the development which Egypt is going through. I mean, when it comes to the infrastructure in Egypt, which will help, of course, extending the accessibility of Egypt to Middle Africa, Middle Africa and even to South Africa through real physical projects like, for example, this very famous project for international road from Alexandria to Cape Town.
Yes, indeed. Sir, Dr. Al-Mashat also tackled the available opportunities that would enhance the Egyptian-Russian African cooperation. What's your take on the available opportunities in this regard?
In this regard, the opportunities are multiple, and when it comes to the human resources, when it comes to the material resources, to the natural resources, when it comes even to tackling certain issues which is facing Africa in general. I mean, when it comes to problems, economic problems, or even, financial or whatever, there is a chance, to get together. The only thing is that there should be good relations between each and all countries of Africa together, especially through the African Union organization. This will be the best success to the organization. And I think Egypt was working hard for it and still.
Yes. Sir, how can the free trade agreement between Cairo and the countries of the Euro-Asian economy, the economic union of the EAEU, the Russian, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan and Armenia play a key role in the strengthening of the Russian-African trade exchange between Africa and European Union, as stated by Al-Mashat?
Now you see, it's not only Russia, this Euro-Asian can be there, with these countries which you mentioned. So this will be, again, increasing the momentum of cooperation, the diversity of the fields of cooperation. And with this all, these are big countries also in Euro-Asian, these countries,
Yes. What aims, sir, would the establishment of vocational training and entrepreneurship centers in partnership with Russia serve?
You mean training? You mean training people, training or what?
Yes, in the field of entrepreneurship.
Yeah. Especially, this will be very, very materialized and very successful. There are some cases, especially when it comes to the small and medium enterprises.
Indeed.
This still will always be a very rich soil and rich area and the ground, to boost and to have very good results, That's really very important. And it's lucky enough that most of the international institutions are thinking of how to boost the SMEs concept in Africa, the same as what happened in Asia, especially China,
Yes. Finally, Dr. Wali, how do you see the importance of the Russian investment in Africa?
The importance of, sorry?
Russian investments in Africa.
Look, any investment is important, especially if it's real investment, not just blah, blah, blah. Real investment on the ground in the form of, increasing the capacity of the human being, increasing the capacity of productivity for certain demands of the African people. And mainly it relies also in the area of the basic needs for the African countries. So in agriculture and in industry. So any materialization of such investment on the ground is well accepted. It should be there, and it's badly needed, and always will be needed until Africa take its real role and take its real position of running its own business as countries and as continents. And this can happen, inshallah.
Indeed. Dr. Mostafa Wali, our economic expert, many thanks for being our guest, sir, and thank you for your precious input. And moving on, our dear viewers, from the relations between Africa and Russia to the World Bank, who has paused Mali payments as the country's military leader warned that sanctions would complicate matters more. More details with Samah Sharif.
The World Bank said on Friday it had temporarily paused payments to operations in Mali following a military coup, while the man expected to become the new prime minister warned sanctions would only complicate the country's crisis. The bank's actions add to pressure on Mali's military leadership after chief security ally France announced on Thursday it was suspending joint operations with Malian troops in order to press for a return to civilian rule. The military's overthrow of Mali's transitional president last week, its second coup in 9 months, has drawn international condemnation. The World Bank, whose International Development Association IDA is currently financing projects to the tune of $1.5 billion in Mali, confirmed the suspension of payments. Assimi Goïta, the colonel who led both coups, was declared president last Friday after having served as vice president under Ba Ndao, who had been leading the transition since September. Ndao and his prime minister resigned while in military custody last week. Goïta is widely expected in the coming days to name as prime minister Choguel Maïga, the leader of the M5 RFP opposition coalition that spearheaded protests against former President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta before his overthrow last August. At a rally in the capital Bamako on Friday to mark the one-year anniversary of the start of the protests against Keïta, Maïga was alternately firm and conciliatory toward foreign partners. France, the former colonial power, has more than 5,000 troops waging operations in Mali and the wider Sahel, an arid region of West Africa just below the Sahara Desert. It hopes to use its leverage to press Goïta to abide by the 18-month timetable agreed at the start of the transition by organizing a presidential election next February.
The UN Health Agency said that critical health facilities across Africa risk being overwhelmed by surging COVID-19 infections. The appeal to the continent's authorities to boost life-saving facilities comes as the World Health Organization, the WHO, warned that vaccine shipments were at near halt. More details with Samah Sharif.
WHO Regional Director for Africa, Dr. Matshidiso Moeti, said the threat of a third coronavirus wave in Africa is real and rising. He said priority is clear. It is crucial that vaccines get swiftly into the arms of Africans at high risk of falling seriously ill and dying of COVID-19. As the continent struggles with vaccine shortages, the care for critically ill COVID-19 patients has lagged behind other parts of the world. While Africa has 2.9% of cases globally, it accounts for 3.7% of deaths. Weak observance of preventive measures likely contributed to the crisis, along with increased population movement and interaction and the arrival of winter in southern Africa. In the last 2 weeks, the continent has recorded a 20% increase in coronavirus infections compared to the previous fortnight. The WHO said the pandemic is trending upwards in 14 countries, and in the past week alone, 8 countries witnessed an abrupt rise of over 30% in cases.
Well, with that, our dear viewers, we come to the end of this edition of Africa Today, where we have been tackling the African-Russian ties. Till tomorrow with another cruise. Goodbye. Many thanks for watching.